The following show features stories from ADRA International. ADRA is the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, a ministry of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. We strive to walk in the footsteps of Jesus and share God's love and compassion to people in every corner of the world. Each story you see in this series represents our mission to change the world, one life at a time. To learn more, please visit us online at adra.org.
There are a lot of communities where you need to get really creative with how you reach people, but we have to reach them. We have to do it.
Fica muito teimoso, fica agressivo, não dorme muito bem.
As we see development taking place, what we see an increase in life expectancy, which actually puts a burden on society of an increased aging population.
Então tem que operar de urgência ou ele morre.
You have to focus on prevention. You have to focus on equipping people with the knowledge that they need.
Even in the most remote places on the planet, people are finding ways to take care of each other.
Ajudar as pessoas é presente que Deus nos dá de poder transformar vidas. Mas ainda são muitas que nós queremos atingir.
Deus colocou esse amor pelo meu semelhante no meu coração.
This world of ours is more beautiful, more complicated, and more inspiring than we could ever imagine. My name is Sanjay, and this is the story of a journey with ADRA to serve a hurting world. I've spent the last 6 months seeing a side of our planet that not many people get to see, witnessing the most incredible challenges and the most extraordinary hope. Together, we've got a chance to impact the world in a whole new way. This is A Closer Walk. Every second, there is 7,381,000 cubic square feet of water flowing from the Amazon River. 2.7 trillion gallons of water every day. That is more water than the Congo, Nile, Mississippi, Ganges, and Yangtze rivers combined. It is by far the largest river in the world and makes up 1/5 of the total flow of rivers on the planet. The rainforest that surrounds the Amazon covers more than 2 million square miles, with an estimated 390 billion individual trees. There are 434 species of mammal living in the Amazon, with 138 found only here and nowhere else. Large cities like Manaus have taken advantage of the wealth of natural resources provided by the Amazon basin and built up industries that ship products from here to markets around the world. But even as parts of this region advance, it is estimated that close to 1 million native people still live in remote villages along the river with very little contact from the outside world. And the remote life along the Amazon can be challenging, especially when people get injured or need medical attention.
There are very few places in the US where there isn't access to some sort of health care. But globally, there are vast communities where there's really nothing, where people are walking 20 miles just to access the closest clinic. There are a lot of communities where you need to get really creative with how you reach people, but we have to reach them. You have to find a way to bring health to communities.
There are no roads that connect these villages, just the wide river flanked on either side by dense jungle. If a family doesn't own a boat with a motor, it can be nearly impossible to travel any substantial distance.
Não tem condição nenhuma. Para chegar na comunidade mais próxima aqui, nós gastamos 1h30 ou 2 horas, que é o Membeca. Para Manacapuru são 6 horas de barco. 6 horas ou mais. Se o motor andar rápido, são 6 horas. Se não, são 8 horas de barco. Então é muito complicado.
When people don't have the means to travel the distance to get medical help, it is sometimes necessary to bring the help to them. I spent the day with Gloria, a nurse who travels by speedboat to some of the villages that would otherwise not receive any medical care. Our first stop was to see Sonia, a little girl suffering from a stomachache who had been sick through the night for several nights. Gloria quickly discovered that Sonia had been eating almost nothing except green mangoes, and that had upset her stomach. An important part of helping these families is giving them information about how to stay healthy. Living in isolation means they lack basic knowledge that can seem obvious to those of us living in the modernized world.
What we know is that people want to be healthy, and oftentimes they have the resources around them that would help them to be healthy and to remain healthy, but they need access to information and services, because you can't, just access to services isn't necessarily enough.
While she's here, Gloria also checks on Doña Maria, Sonia's grandmother, who is 88. To have survived this long in a place like the Amazon, you have to be tough. And Doña Maria certainly is.
Dona Maria é muito interessante. É incrível o que ela faz. Ela pesca sozinha, ela capina sozinha, ela planta roça, ela planta batatas, ela faz tudo sozinha, mora sozinha. E o mais interessante de tudo, que eu conversando com ela é saudável, ela não sente absolutamente nada.
For those, like Doña Maria, that survived the more immediate dangers of the Amazon, the jungle is an endless source of nutrient-rich foods and natural remedies. Over 25% of Western medicine is derived from plants in the Amazon, and only a minuscule fraction of these plants have been tested for their potential to heal. It is not uncommon for people in the Amazon to live for a very long time. Carla is 104 years old and has lived here her entire life. There aren't a lot of records about how many people live to be this old in the Amazon, but just in the few villages we visited, there were several people over 100.
We're very much familiar with the burden of an increasing aging population as the baby boomers become older within our communities. And now what we're seeing in developing countries is the same issue. As we see development taking place, what we see is an increase in life expectancy, which actually puts a burden on society of an increased aging population that have never necessarily been a major problem in communities, because in reality, people's life expectancy wasn't actually a long period of time.
And the challenges that come with an aging population are not easily faced in such a remote location. Wilson is 70 years old, and although physically he is in pretty good shape, he has recently started showing signs of dementia.
Seu Wilson realmente tem problema de Alzheimer. A esposa dele falou uns 5 a 6 meses, que ele na realidade ficou pior.
The already hard life in the Amazon becomes even more challenging as your mind starts to slip away.
The stories featured in this series represent the mission of ADRA International. At ADRA, we believe that everyone deserves health, safety, and the ability to provide for their family, regardless of circumstance. Following in Christ's footsteps, we serve our brothers and sisters worldwide through food and clean water access, education, establishing ways to earn an income, and disaster response. To learn more, visit us online at adra.org.
Wilson lives with his wife and their family along the banks of the Amazon River, where they have for generations. Recently, he has started to show signs of Alzheimer's, the chronic neurodegenerative disease that results in dementia, memory loss, and ultimately death.
Apareceu o mal nele não faz muito tempo, faz mais ou menos, a esposa dele falou, uns 5 a 6 meses, que ele na realidade ficou pior. Fica muito teimoso, fica agressivo, não dorme muito bem.
With the help of his wife, he is still able to do little chores and gardening around the house, but he cannot be left alone. Caring for the elderly, especially those with serious problems, can be a challenge anywhere. In the Amazon, where day-to-day life is already a challenge, these problems can put an enormous amount of pressure on the rest of the family. Initially, Gloria started making visits to Wilson because of some swelling he had in his abdomen. But after the dementia began, she continued the visits because the regular check-in helps him stay more relaxed and brings a lot of needed relief to the family.
Com as nossas visitas lá, ele se sente muito bem, ele se sente calmo e a família fala que ele fica bem melhor, ele fica mais calmo. Então, isso eu tô achando que ele realmente vai melhorar bastante, se Deus quiser.
You know, there are people that we serve that don't necessarily fall into the classic international development focus. But what about the person who has dementia? And what about the person who has cancer? You know, these might not be primary areas of focus for us here, but they are things that we see in communities. And so when we are going out and we're reaching communities and we're forming groups within communities to be able to support healthy efforts, to be able to support the practice and adoption of healthy behaviors, we have to cover everything that we see.
And with all of the various problems that people face in the Amazon, it is important to be ready for anything.
Às vezes acontecem situações que eles precisam urgentemente de um atendimento, é uma picada de cobra, é um corte, são situações de extrema necessidade e eles não têm a quem recorrer. Então, neste momento, o Projeto Luzeiro se faz de extrema importância porque eles sabem agora onde ir. Eles têm ali a resposta de pronto. Magno foi trabalhar na sua fazenda, no seu campo, e quando ele voltou, ele foi tratar o peixe que iria comer. Quando ele foi tratar o peixe, ele pegou o facão e, ao tentar preparar, acabou acertando o seu dedo e realmente fez um corte grande no seu dedo.
Having a clinic within the community helps with immediate first aid, but also helps to slowly shift misconceptions about health and healing. More than just providing services, it is important for the clinic to provide information so that the communities can begin to learn to care for themselves.
E nessas situações, muitas vezes eles, se não parecer algo grave, eles não procuram a saúde, eles não procuram o local para poder atender. Eles ficam na sua casa, usam qualquer pano, pode estar sujo, eles usam qualquer pano, pegam qualquer pedaço de pano e tentam limpar, usam qualquer água. Então, em certos momentos não há aquele cuidado específico, aquele cuidado especial com a ferida ou o corte que foi feito.
Eles têm a mania de colocar em pó de café, que diz para estancar sangue. Pelo menos coloque um pano limpo e não bote folha, não bote pó de café.
Information is the key to healthy communities because it lasts much longer than any simple first aid. For some families living in extreme poverty, the Lucero Project is their only hope for any type of medical services. Sammy and Samuel are brothers, whose father works as a farmer on a small piece of land near the village where they live.
Sam e o Samuel são garotos fantásticos, eu gosto de estar perto deles, gosto de brincar com eles e é uma família que nós temos tentado ajudar para que eles possam se desenvolver, para que eles possam ter acesso ao estudo, à educação e possam trazer uma qualidade de vida melhor para eles e para os seus pais, para os seus familiares.
Herbert took me to see where the boys live and showed me around their home.
Little boys, they sleep on this. They both divide this.
So the two boys sleep right here on this thing.
Yeah.
On the ground.
Sammy and Samuel's father took us to the piece of land that he farms in order to provide for his family.
The area of the work, it's 55 for 100 square
Meters.
meters. Yeah,
And he owns this land?
yeah. And every day they come to here and they start to prepare this area. Every day they come, clean, and plant.
So what are some of the things that they grow here?
The cassava, and over there they have banana, and sometimes they plant also beans here.
It looks hard to grow everything on this steep slope.
He was told me that it's not so easy to work here because the land is not regular.
It is not an easy life for this family, and what little income they have goes toward the basic necessities like food and shelter. Samuel is at the age where it's important to start getting specialized medical care, like eye exams. For most families, this would mean a routine checkup with an eye doctor. But for a poor farming family in the Amazon, there is nothing routine about a visit to a medical specialist.
Para o Samuel, realmente a família não tem condições de pagar um oftalmologista, uma consulta.
90% of the world's visually impaired live in developing countries. 12 million children are visually impaired as the result of refractive errors, a condition that is easily corrected, but without access to basic medical care, most of these kids living in developing countries are never given the chance to see.
The stories featured in this series represent the mission of ADRA International. At ADRA, we believe that everyone deserves health, safety, and the ability to provide for their family, regardless of circumstance. Following in Christ's footsteps, we serve our brothers and sisters worldwide through food and clean water access, education, establishing ways to earn an income, and disaster response. To learn more, visit us online at adra.org.
Sammy and his brother Samuel are the sons of a farmer who works hard to keep his family fed. But there's little money left over for any medical needs, especially those that aren't life-threatening. Samuel is at an age where it is time to have an eye exam, and fortunately, the Lazaro Project is bringing an ophthalmologist to a nearby village to give eye exams. Today, the boys are going to have their eyes checked for the first time ever.
Nós tivemos a oportunidade de atender várias pessoas, entre elas o pequeno Samuel. Isso para ele foi grandioso.
80% of all visual impairment can be prevented or cured, but first they must be properly diagnosed and treated. Bringing in an ophthalmologist to a community that would otherwise not have access to this kind of specialist gives the people here a chance to prevent problems that could potentially make their lives incredibly difficult. Fortunately for Sammy and Samuel, they both passed the vision test and for now will not need glasses or other corrective measures.
Saber que ele não tem problema na sua visão é uma oportunidade que muitos ali gostariam de ter, que muitas comunidades não têm, e é através do Projeto Luzeiro que essas pessoas têm tido o desenvolvimento na sua saúde, no cuidado com a sua saúde dentro da comunidade, nas vilas ribeirinhas.
Nurses like Gloria, who help run mobile clinics and make house calls, as well as specialists like ophthalmologists and dentists that are brought into these remote villages, are all important elements of the programs serving the Amazon. But the foundation of this program is the Lazaro Medical Boat, which not only transports doctors and medicine to these communities, but also provides a safe and sterile environment for patients to be seen. Dr. Isaac regularly volunteers his services on the Lazaro, and today he is joined by his son Gabriel, a medical student who's following in his father's footsteps.
Venho para cá para ajudar a população mais carente. É um propósito da nossa vida repartir o nosso conhecimento com aqueles que não têm condições de estar tendo acesso a uma medicina lá em Manaus ou em outros grandes centros. E nós vemos aqui sempre que possível e que nos solicitam. O maior problema é a falta de especialistas em determinadas áreas da medicina que eles não têm acesso. E nós procuramos um meio de levá-los até a solução do problema.
Dr. Isaac and Gabriel see and are able to treat a wide range of medical issues, but some health issues are far more complex than others. Carlos came aboard with a condition that would send most Americans to the emergency room.
Ele foi operado de urgência por uma úlcera do estômago. Evoluiu para aquela hérnia que não procurou mais, não teve acesso a uma medicina que curasse aquela hérnia.
Carlos's hernia will require more care than what Dr. Isaac can provide on the boat.
A hérnia pode se encarcerar e a isquemia daquela hérnia apodrece a parte que fica presa. Então tem que operar de urgência ou ele morre. É uma situação que é imprevisível. Pode acontecer esse fim de semana ou pode levar 10 anos sem acontecer. Mas uma vez que tem um problema, tem que resolver.
It's important that Carlos gets to a place where he can be helped as quickly as possible. Herbert goes to Carlos's home to help him prepare for the long journey to Manaus, the closest city where a surgery like this can happen. The long distance he will have to travel and the expense that it would be if he had to pay for it on his own are the things that ultimately stop people from even trying to get help, even when the condition is life-threatening.
E mais pela sua dificuldade financeira, por não ter recursos, não ter um barco rápido, ele acabou por desistir. E muitas pessoas acaba acontecendo a mesma coisa. Então, existe um perigo, porque é um caso sério, mas pelas faltas de recurso, pela pobreza, eles acabam desistindo e convivendo com a dor.
To make this trip in a canoe, which is the main source of transportation for many poor farmers, it can take as long as 27 hours. The fast boats that ADRA uses to transport emergency cases can cut that time down to only a few hours. But even once they have arrived in the city of Manacapuru, there is still a several-hour car ride to get to the hospital in Manaus. The reality of being so far removed from a hospital starts to set in when you realize that this long trip, which isn't even over yet, is still probably the fastest that Carlos has ever made it from his home to Manacapuru in his life.
The stories featured in this series represent the mission of ADRA International. At ADRA, we believe that everyone deserves health, safety, and the ability to provide for their family, regardless of circumstance. Following in Christ's footsteps, we serve our brothers and sisters worldwide through food and clean water access, education, establishing ways to earn an income, and disaster response. To learn more, visit us online at adra.org.
Carlos has a hernia that is in danger of rupturing at any time. After being seen by Dr. Isaac on the Luzero medical boat, it was decided that he should be taken immediately to the hospital in Manaus for emergency surgery. Although the long trip is made shorter with the fast boats provided by the Luzero project, there is still an incredibly long distance to travel in order to make it from Carlos's village to the hospital. It's hard to even conceive of how far away the people along the Amazon River live from any medical care. Even when there is an emergency, it can take almost a full day of travel to get help. But finally, after 3 hours in the boat and 3 hours in the car, Herbera and Carlos arrive at the Adventist Hospital in Manaus. Fortunately, Herbera stays with Carlos to help him fill out the medical information forms and guide him through the process that he will undergo at the hospital.
Através do Hospital Adventista de Manaus, encaminharam uma solução para esse rapaz que não tem dinheiro, não tem recurso financeiro para pagar o tratamento. Vamos consegui-lo gratuitamente.
Ajudar as pessoas é um presente que Deus nos dá de poder transformar vidas. Nós vemos o desenvolvimento, nós vemos as dificuldades e vemos como simples ações podem fazer toda a diferença. Mas ainda são muitas que nós queremos atingir.
We can come in with a boat in the Amazon, provide a mobile clinic, and that's a very much needed service. You know, it saves lives, there's no question about it. But to provide just a mobile clinic is not a complete picture of development. What we need to be doing is we need to be training local health workers who are actually remaining in those communities, to train the locals in their knowledge of health practices, to be able to give them the resources to be able to take control of their own health.
You have to focus on prevention. You have to focus on equipping people with the knowledge that they need.
Deus colocou esse amor pelo meu semelhante no meu coração. Quero fazer uma diferença na vida deles, né?
Even in the most remote places on the planet, people are finding ways to take care of each other. However great the distance, it is never too far to go.
Minha parte mais favorita nesse trabalho é o prazer de você fazer um curativo, uma sutura, e com 2, 3 dias você vê que está tudo cicatrizado. Então você vê que Deus, que não é minhas mãos, é Deus realmente que opera. Para mim é fantástico, é muito bonito. Essa é a minha parte favorita.
E o Samuel é um doce, Ele um dia chegou para mim e disse: pastor, eu quero ser como o senhor, eu quero ser um pastor. Isso mexe com a gente. Porque você vê que você ali está sendo um exemplo. Você está fazendo a diferença na vida daquela criança. Transformar o mundo, uma vida de cada vez. Não é simplesmente um trabalho. Para mim é um estilo de vida.